In this lesson, we'll work on adding more particles to our scene in order to enhance our simulation. So let's say one thing we're missing is a particle emission right at the center of our hole. So as the doors start to open, we'll have them kind of burst through, and then we'll have them roll out in a very convincing way. So let's say we go ahead and get to it. What we'll do is create an emitter this time, and since we have an idea as to how to create emitters and how to adjust our particle properties, we'll go ahead and speed up a little bit here. So let's go to nParticles, create nParticles, and we will create an emitter. We're still using the thick cloud type. Going to our options, I'll just go ahead and make sure the settings are reset so yours match mine. You'll notice that Maya is going to automatically connect this emitter to our current nucleus solver, which is super helpful. If you want, you can go in and create a new solver from here if you'd like, but we're going to go ahead and stick with nucleus 1 because later we'll add wind effects to improve our particle simulation even further. I'll go ahead and show you how to do that shortly. And we want to, of course, make sure that the wind will affect both particles, right? So let's go to make sure that we're using nucleus 1. Let's go to now create our emitter. And we'll go ahead and grab the object. Let's go ahead and press the W key to grab our move tool. We'll go ahead and translate it down so it's kind of inside of our hole. I'll go ahead and press the 4 key to go to wireframe mode just to make sure that it's brought down far enough. So I might go ahead and set it to about the midway point. No need to bring it all the way down. I think that this is going to work out just fine. Then we can go ahead and jump back to textured mode with the 6 key. It's now time to tweak our settings. Let's go ahead and change our emitter type. So underneath basic emitter attributes, let's go ahead and switch the type to directional. And then we can make sure that they will emit upward in the y-axis. So let's go ahead and check on that. If we were to scroll down just a little bit more, we'll find distance, direction attributes. Let's make sure that direction is positive in the y-axis, and we will zero out the x-axis. Sweet, so it's just moving upward. Now if that happens, they're going to move up in a very linear way, and you can learn more about this in Introduction to N-Dynamics, but to fix that, what we can do is adjust our spread so that they spread out just a little bit more instead of just moving up linearly. So let's go ahead and set our spread to something like, let's say, 0.3. Sweet. Now jumping back to our rate, we'll go ahead and increase that some. We can set it to about 300 using the same rate as our first emitter. Wonderful. And let's go ahead and have a look at speed. Speed will need to be increased as well because as of right now, if we were to have a look at our mission, I'll just go ahead and press the 4 key and hit play and see that we barely see anything. It's moving up very slowly. So what I'll do is go ahead and set the speed to something much greater. Let's say to about a value of 10. Let's see how that looks. We'll hit play. Alright, so that's starting to come up, but still that's a bit too slow, right? So let's say we increase it even more. I might go ahead and set it to about a value of 600. Let's hit play. Alright, much better. Alright, now what we need to do is go ahead and change the size of our particles. So let's say we do that. We'll jump to our second particle object. And we'll go ahead and find our radius channel. So we'll go ahead and set the radius here to about 100. Fantastic. Now if we were to press the 6 key, start back from the beginning and hit play, take a look. Fantastic. That's going to look really epic, right? Great stuff. Alright, so this is coming along very well. Let's say we also adjust the life of our particles. So we'll go ahead and switch this from live forever to random range. Our lifespan we can set to 3, and we'll do the same thing for the lifespan random channel. Again, we'll go ahead and hit play. Alright, so eventually they'll start to die out. That's looking amazing, isn't it? Super cool. Alright, let's go ahead and continue. We know that we can adjust our radius scale. So if we need to modify that, let's say we can go ahead and take maybe this starting point and bring that down just a bit, and then we can take our end point and bring that up to a value of 1. Let's go ahead and hit play and have a look at how this works out. Very well. Great stuff. Alright, so at this point, what I'd like to do is kind of play around with the particle material. We can go ahead and move down to shading. We might consider dropping our opacity just a bit. It's going to bring this value down to maybe about 0.5 or so. Sweet, and that will kind of soften the particles a bit so that they resemble steam. And then from there, again, feel free to adjust your opacity scale. So you can start by, let's say, dropping your initial point, and then you can create a midpoint. But then closer to the end here, you can have that kind of drop again so that they start to disappear a bit as we get closer to the end of their life. How exciting. And then you can experiment with your opacity scale input, setting that to normalize scale. And you can see that that's going to create something that's a little bit more opaque, right? It's going to hit play. All right, sweet. So at this point, it's just a matter of deciding if you like the look of your particles by doing a render. I might go ahead and start a render and pause the video. Here's our render. And you might notice something that I find really helpful. You'll notice that our particles here match the same shading as the particles we set up initially. That's because if we were to go ahead and head over to our Hypershade, you'll notice that they're still tied to that same fluid and blend node. All right, so that'll save us a bit of time, right? This would be a great moment to stop the lesson. We'll go ahead and finish out our new particle effect in the next.